When looking at the wide variety of zombies maps, I found that two specific maps keep reoccurring when discussing which is the best zombies map, these two maps being Mob of the Dead and Origins. Both of these maps came out in the Black Ops 2 era of zombies, and most of the time these two are in the top 2 spots for the best zombies maps. Personally, I also believe these are the two contenders for the greatest zombies map. In this video, I want to analyze many parts of these two maps and determine which is the best one. They both have many strengths and are very different, so I have a lot to talk about. I'm going to be going over and comparing several aspects of these maps. This includes map layout, gameplay, atmosphere, and story. In each of these categories, I will explain which map does a certain thing better, so let's get into it. To set the stage, let's start off with the basic story foundation of the maps. Mob of the Dead takes place in a hellish purgatory on Alcatraz Island and follows a group of 4 mobsters in their plan to escape Alcatraz by building a plane on the roof. Origins is our first experience with the Primus crew, an alternate universe's version of the original Ultimus crew. It takes place on, to quote Samantha, on the battlefields of the Great War. 2 German scientists start to whatever, Samantha crap. Gameplay-wise, both of the maps are great, however they are very different. They obviously have very different map layouts. Origins starts out in the trenches, which are pretty narrow, but once you get to No Man's Land, it really opens up. There's also the hazard of getting stepped on by giant robots, but they aren't too difficult to avoid, because they're giant robots. Mob of the Dead, however, is constantly in narrow passages. Even the outside areas, like the dock, are pretty narrow. This can really screw you over, with either zombies cutting you off, or just running into a dead end and getting cornered. That, added with the amount of zombies the game sends at you at later rounds, can be difficult. This is usually where I find why people either love Mob of the Dead or prefer other maps. Mob of the Dead is difficult, and whether you like that difficulty or not affects whether or not it's what you consider to be the best map. Origins is, I'd say, more on the casual side. It's not a complete cakewalk or anything, not at all, but Mob of the Dead will beat the crap out of you. Both of these maps do not have the single power switch that powers everything either. Origins has the generators, and Mob of the Dead has Afterlife, which is the ghost-like mode you also use to open certain areas and revive yourself. I don't mind Afterlife. I think it's pretty fun and innovative gameplay, and fits the tone and setting of Mob of the Dead. I do, however, have a problem with the generators from Origins. It's not a problem with the generators themselves, but the group of zombies that keeps attacking them throughout the game. These zombies spawn in actually pretty often in later rounds and just start attacking all the generators you've secured. And you need all generators running in order to pack a punch and do parts of the Easter egg. So you could be doing something important like upgrading a staff or doing parts of the Easter egg, and all of a sudden you have to drop what you're doing, sprint to the generator, which may involve leaving the alternate dimension you're in, kill the zombies, and resecure the generator or generators that you've lost. It's really just more of a nuisance than anything. As far as each map's normal weapons go, Origins is pretty basic, only introducing the MG, but bringing back some classics like the MP40 and STG. Also keep in mind I was playing Origins on Zombies Chronicles, so my information may not be the most accurate for the Black Ops 2 version. Mob of the Dead, on the other hand, has a bunch of weapons unique to it. It introduces the Tommy gun, and uses a bunch of weapons from Black Ops 2 that aren't used in other maps. And Mob of the Dead introduces Electric Cherry, a very underrated perk in my opinion. Despite the normal weapons, Wonder Weapons is where Origins shines. Don't get me wrong, the Blunder Gat is cool, and when turned into the Acid Gat is absolutely godly, but no other map's Wonder Weapons can beat the original 4 staffs, not the Dreisendracht bows, not the Shadows of Evil swords. These staffs are iconic, and once upgraded through a process unique to each staff, are even better. Each map also has their own mini-boss that fits the map. Mob of the Dead has Brutus, who's basic, but can really hinder you by breaking perks and the mystery box, and costing 2,000 points to fix. Origins has the Panzers, whose spawning sirens you come to dread. They're big robot boys that have a grappling hook and flamethrower. Without a staff, these things are pretty difficult to kill, but with a staff, or better, an upgraded staff, or better, the upgraded fire staff, they're pretty easy to take out. There's a part of the Easter egg where you have to take on a large amount of Panzers all at once, and with any upgraded staff, if you just charge shot the Panzers, they're probably goners. I feel I should mention Mob of the Dead is only on Black Ops 2. I played Origins on Black Ops 3 via Zombies Chronicles, but you can only play Mob of the Dead on Black Ops 2. This adds to the difficulty in my opinion. Seeing that it's Black Ops 2 zombies, you'll get double slapped, you can't slide jump all over the place like what I do in Black Ops 3, and there's no gobble gum, so you can't get shopping free and buy every door also like I do. Now, it's time to talk about each of the map's atmospheres. To start this, I will show a clip of spawning into each map.
Field report. Confirming arrival at site identified in our intel. No sign of the target, nor the other agents believed to be on intercept course. Dempsey out. May as well bring a shovel. This is a dig site after all.
Fuck? Where am I? What's going on? Sal? Finn? You here? Plan. We had a plan. Gotta find the parts, gotta get out of here. Guys, you better take a look at this.
I'm going to start with Origins. Now, Origins' atmosphere is great. It has great visuals, especially the awesome robots walking around. Oddly enough, Origins does manage to nail the look and feel of a World War I trench in a zombies map. I think the coolest location on the map is easily the mound, with the staff holders at the bottom and the statues of the 4 characters. I think the planes in the sky are a nice touch, and I absolutely cannot describe how much I love the giant robots. They are so cool. The sounds in the map are amazing, and the music is good. It feels awesome with the sound of the generators clicking and the great soundtrack, added with the interesting dialogue from the characters. Well, to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the Easter egg song, Archangel, as I kind of prefer 115 by that artist, but of course Shepherd of Fire is an absolute banger. Origins just gives you the feeling of having an important task that you have to complete, which in terms of the characters you do. You have one hell of an Easter egg to complete, and the atmosphere gets better later on when Samantha starts talking to you and the characters start questioning what is happening. Alright, now that we have the atmosphere of Origins out of the way, Mob of the Dead absolutely obliterates every other map's atmosphere. Yes, it is better than Verrückt, Origins, every other map. The sounds, the music, mixed with the dialogue of the characters, it's amazing.
I think I understand. Am I here because of the things I've done? The bad things? That's it, isn't it? Am I stuck here until I see the error of my ways? Until I repent? Or you're gonna have to wait a long time, because I don't regret a damn thing!
It is so good. The constant thunder, the rattling of the chains, the phenomenal but somber music, it all goes together so well. And the Easter egg songs, first Rusty Cage by Johnny Cash, then the amazing Where Are We Going, which not only fits the map, but fits the entire zombie storyline in my opinion. It feels like the characters are stuck in this unescapable, unrelenting purgatory, which is the story of the map, so Mob of the Dead absolutely wins in the battle of atmosphere. In terms of each of the map's characters, this is a strong competition. Mob of the Dead has the 4 gangsters, voiced by actual movie stars. Like, seriously, they got Ray Liotta and Michael Madsen. What is it with Treyarch and getting, like, actual movie stars to voice in their games? Like, how do they do it? Anyway, the characters are all scumbags ready to betray each other. Or more accurately, 3 of them are ready to betray the Weasel. It's a very interesting story between the Easter egg and map and what actually happened to the 4 outside of the purgatory. Meanwhile, Origins is the first look at the Primus crew, who just started working together and absolutely do not trust each other. Now don't get me wrong, Mob of the Dead has great characters, but I gotta give this one to Origins. No one can beat the Primus crew, not even the mobsters. These characters are the face of the series, and for good reason, they're incredible. It's an amazing dynamic between the characters. It's 4 soldiers, each serving a different army in the most chaotic situation imaginable, all having to work together. And the characters only got better as the story went on. Speaking of which, it's time to get into the story. Story-wise, both of these maps are very important in the zombies lore. Origins starts the main adventure with Primus. Mob of the Dead doesn't seem that connected at first, but has a surprising amount of consequence for the entire zombie storyline. So I have to say, Mob of the Dead is the more important one. Now you might be disagreeing and saying something like, but Origins starts off the entire Primus storyline, which is the main focus of the story and how everything gets resolved. I understand where you're coming from, but let me explain why Mob of the Dead is more important. First off, the blood vials from the mobsters are the thing that keeps the Primus group alive after Revelations. Secondly, the events, more specifically the good ending in the Mob of the Dead Easter egg, are what changes the Chronorium and lead to the end of the cycle. The entire resolution to the storyline rests on this one map. By the way, if you do not understand at all what I just said and know nothing about the zombie storyline, the zombies lore is very complicated, and I swear I'm not having a schizo meltdown. But seriously, if you do want to know more about the story, go watch Eruption Fang's almost 7-hour-long video that completely explains the entire storyline while also making it comprehensible. I am nowhere near smart enough to explain the whole thing, so just go watch that. Alright, the last thing I have to talk about, the Easter eggs. This is where my biggest complaint about Origins is. In Mob of the Dead, you just have to get to Pack-a-Punch 3 times with some extra steps like listening to the tapes and getting a golden spoon. However, you do need at least one other teammate, which sucks because I like soloing the Easter eggs. The Origins Easter egg is broken up into Reznov's 8 Steps to Freedom. Cute reference, but absolutely sucks gameplay-wise. in my recorded Easter egg attempt I did for this video, in which I died on the last step by the way, I was playing for 2.5 hours. The first step out of those 8 took me 1.5 hours. The first step. Again, this is where my biggest complaint for Origins is, that and the stupid generator attacking zombies. If I attempt the Mob of the Dead Easter egg and fail far into it, sure, I'm not happy at all, but whatever, not too much is lost. When I am close to beating the Origins Easter egg and die, I contemplate suicide. Seriously, in my attempt when I died, I was so devastated after that, especially since I lost my last shopping free Gobblegum. Those things are valuable, man. Actually, I think my point just might be, Treyarch, give us free Gobblegum. The game's years old, no one's buying your microtransactions anymore. Like, I understand, the Easter egg is probably not meant to be easy, it's probably meant to be very, very difficult, but the Origins one is just pushing the limit in my opinion. Well, I think it's time I conclude and make my decision. In my opinion, the best Zombies map is... I'm kidding. Just playing that brought back the trauma that the last Zombies storyline map followed the Victus crew. Given that I've just gone over all these aspects and that I've been playing quite a bit of these 2 maps recently, I personally believe that Mob of the Dead is the greatest Zombies map. Of course, I love Origins, and it is a very, very close second, but the amazing atmosphere, gameplay, and story really set Mob of the Dead apart from the rest. Of course, these are my personal beliefs. If you disagree and think Origins is superior, or if your favorite map isn't even one of these 2, I'd love to hear your reasons why. Please feel free to share them in the comments. That concludes this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking or subscribing. I plan to make more constructive content like this in the future. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you later. Bye!